Playbook. Okay, let me come on live. We're just gonna turn down the music and then switching over to me. No, to the slide. No, to me. Okay, yeah, you got me. We're here to talk about performance parasites. Stuff that's impacting your ability to achieve, your ability to do well, your ability to thrive. Stuff that you're eating every day in your diet. Most diets don't talk enough about this particular topic, and I want to bring this to your attention. A lot of diets focus on weight loss, focusing on looking a particular way to look shredded, get your six pack. Okay? But for you, the executive warrior, you're a leader, you're an entrepreneur, there's much more than just looking shredded. I mean, so what? If you look shredded, but if you're miserable, you can't achieve all your goals, your full potential, then that is not very helpful. So this is the angle that I'm coming from, is there are things that you're eating every day, but you don't know that these things are literally undermining your ability to achieve your dream, your goal, your ambition in business, in life, and want to show you what they are so you can get rid of it. Okay, let us begin. Remove your productivity parasite from your diet. Let's do it. Parasites make you weak, and this is some pictures of parasites. We know that they're not good. They live off you. They suck energy from you. They suck your performance from you. And if you have too much of it, guess what? You break down. Right? And that's the same thing with some of the things that we eat. What you eat is a key parasite that we have on our performance. But not just that, but there's also the mental game. Emotions, trauma, mental inflexibility, they also act as productive parasites. Today we're going to focus on diet and the mental and mind and biohack brain and mind playbook. We're going to talk about the mental game, the mental aspect of the productivity parasite, how you can overcome them, how you can gain mastery over them. But that is the next playbook, which I'll share with you later. Okay, diet. Let's focus on diet. What would you cover today? The key performance parasite that's from your diet, making you weak. We're going to show you how you can eliminate these, and we're going to put this into action. Okay, what are these things that's making you weak? Okay, there's three categories. There's stuff that is inflammatory. Inflammation is the cause of brain fog, fatigue, chronic obesity, poor sleep quality. It basically is stuff that's going to weigh you down. It's going to slow you down, undermine your performance. And then this, on the other side, the other category of productivity parasite is metabolic poison. Okay, these are food that trigger peaks and trough in your blood sugar, and it gives you cravings. It makes you moody. You feel like you're going on an energy roller coaster. Can you see that dealing with the consequences of these things? It's really just going to undermine your ability to achieve. Sure, you can still work around them, but that's tough, right? It's much harder. Why don't you do it the easier way? Work smarter, not harder, as they say. Right? Knowing this empowers you to do something about it. So what food are we talking about? Inflammatory food. All right? So this is not the standard American diet or standard Australian diet. Grains, legumes, beans, lentil, all can be thought of part of a healthy diet is inflammatory. All right? Seed oils, polyunsaturated fatty acid, again, are inflammatory. Modern dairy are inflammatory. Dirty protein. Protein can be highly inflammatory as well. When you see this may or may not trigger some reaction for you. And that's why I emphasize on the mindset of diet. This is something to take on. It's new information. It may be new to you. If it triggers something for you, put it aside for now. Right? Just listen, appreciate, and try it. try it and see if you like it. But this is where you need to let go of the past so that you can accept something new, unadulterated, right? Just purest form. But this is something that is important for you to understand. These things are going to undermine your performance. The other part of the diet productivity parasite, on the metabolic poison part, high glycemic food. So high glycemic food are food that is going to spike your blood sugar in a dramatic way in a very short space of time. And that also includes ultra processed food, like puffs and chips and those type of things, as well as high fructose syrup food. So agave sugar, Coca-Cola, those things are all metabolic poison, and they undermine your performance, create cravings, mood swings, energy roller coasters, bad stuff. Okay, let's talk about the first category, the grains, legumes, and beans, and give you a little bit more insight and information. Okay, now seeds and grains are basically plant embryos, right? They're babies of plants. If you let them, put them in the soil, give them water, it wants to grow. It doesn't want to be eaten, right? So it can't run, it can't scream, it can't scratch. How do these baby plants defend themselves? Well, chemical warfare, right? That's all they can do. So they contain chemicals that is designed specifically to prevent you from absorbing them, digesting them, breaking down, basically killing them. They don't want to be killed. These chemicals are what we call anti-nutrient. They're found in plants to protect themselves. And the key anti-nutrient that you find very common in seeds are lectins, which is contribute to leaky gut. It prevents healing of your digestive tract. There's phytic acid or phytates, which prevents absorption of magnesium, zinc, calcium, iron. And that means if you eat too much of those, you're probably going to get some kind of mineral deficiency. Okay? Gluten is another form of inflammatory food. So we talked about the grains already. Seed oil is from grains and seeds, also very high in those anti-nutrients. But the other aspect with seed oil is that it's very high in omega-6. We'll talk a little bit about later. So these inflammatory food are all contributing to your underperformance. More about the grains. So Dr. Alessio Fasano, not sure if you know who him. He's a very reputable doctor. So he's not a actual like a tinfoil hat. I would not bring that kind of doctor here to explain to you, but he is actually from Harvard University in 2013. So we're talking about grains, right? Why is it inflammatory? Dr. Alessio Fasano from Harvard found that gluten in wheat increased the production of zonulin. So zonulin is a protein that regulates how wide the cells of your gut lining, how wide it should open up or close in. The more zonulin you have, the wider the gap becomes. And what happens is when it's too wide, all these things that shouldn't be in your blood end up in your blood. It transfers from your gut in your blood, and that means undigested food, partially digested food, bacteria, toxins, lipopolysaccharides, which is a form they call LPA. LPS. LPS is a type of toxin produced by bacteria that shouldn't be in your blood. But when you have too wide of a tight juncture opened up by zonulin as a result of gluten, your body can't filter them out. It just goes into your blood, right? That creates your body and use up precious energy resources to deal with them instead of powering your performance. And that is why, other than the anti-nutrients from the legumes and beans and lentils and grains, this is another reason why it's a good idea to get rid of wheat together with grains, and that is not a good thing. And you might be asking, well, isn't eating wheat a tradition? I mean, we've been eating wheat for thousands of years. What is wrong with that? Well, here's a picture. This is on the left, you have your ancient grain, what your ancestors used to eat, and this is modern grain. Modern grain has been GMO'd. Even if it's not GMO, it's been hybridized, bred to give you bigger yield, to give you more grain, more chewy, better texture, right? That's gluten. What makes it chewy is the gluten. So it's been bred, it's been modified. God never created the grain that we eat today. We did. Ancient grain looks nothing like new grain. And this is why it wasn't a problem thousands of years ago, but it is a problem now because humans have decided to create this new grain for commercial gain, to make more money, to get you addicted. A good tasting grain that's high in gluten creates an addictive effect. It actually triggers the same opioid receptors as something like opium or cocaine, right? It's highly addictive. Once you start on a piece of bread, it's really difficult to not have another one. And that is why. So it's nothing traditional. Let's talk a little bit about seed oil. So we're done with grains, legumes, beans. We'll talk about anti-nutrient. We'll talk about the gluten in grain. That is actually creating inflammation. What about seed oil? So vegetable oils are very unstable and they easily spoil without some kind of industrial process through either hydrogenation or fractionation or enterification. Man, that was a mouthful. These oils was originally created for lubricating machinery. It was not intended for human consumption. For hundreds and hundreds of years, animal fat was the primary fat that we use for cooking, for consumption, for baking. But in 1870s, there's a bit of a shortage of animal fat. So what did they do? Big Food, Procter and Gamble, they decided, why don't we try and use this vegetable oil that we use for machine, maybe we can sell it as food for people. So they created Crisco from cottonseed oil. Crisco is actually 50% trans fat, and we know that for every 2% trans fat increase, you increase your risk of heart disease by 23%. 2% increase in trans fat, 23% in heart disease risk, right? So that it's bad news. It's really a commercial oil. There's no reason why you should be having this when you have much better oils to consume, like grass-fed ghee, grass-fed butter, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. And the other factor with seed oil is very high omega-6. We have far too much omega-6. And when you have too much omega-6 compared to your omega-3, it's a ratio. You again increase inflammation. The ideal ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 is really 1:1 or maximum 4:1, right? But most people in the American diet have something more like 20:1, which is far too much seed oil. And that, again, is a recipe for inflammation. So bad news, do not, this is going to undermine your performance. Modern dairy. Why? Well, we've been drinking milk for hundreds of years, for thousands of years. Why is this a problem now, Steve? Well, there's a number of reasons. Let me just give you a few. First of all, traditionally, we used to get milk that wasn't homogenized. So which is the process of breaking down fat to make it more uniform in color, texture, and taste. In the process, it also oxidizes the fat, making it very inflammatory for your body. Secondly, traditionally, we don't generally pasteurize our milk, right? In the ancient, we don't heat up the milk to compensate for poor hygiene. In milking, the way they milk, it's not clean, and therefore they have to pasteurize it to make sure diseases doesn't get passed to humans. And that makes it really difficult to digest because heat destroys all the enzymes in the milk. Another reason, alien protein. So we've been artificially breeding cattle to maximize production for hundreds of years. And what that result is, the main milk protein in today's milk is what you call the A1 beta casein. A1 beta casein are very difficult to digest. It's highly inflammatory, especially for Asians. According to the National Institute of Health, 70 to 100% of Asian and 75% to 90% of Native Americans, Black Mediterraneans, and Jewish are actually allergic to A1. All right, so that's another reason. And of course, then there's the lactose, which is the more common known of allergen in milk. It's a milk sugar that's that you really can't effectively digest. And according to American College of Gastroenterology, about 90% of Asians lack the necessary enzyme to break down lactose. So this together, lactose and alien protein and pasteurization, homogenization, just make milk not a good high performance food to take. And I have a story about my experiment with milk when I took it out. It literally switched my brain on, and I never realized it has such a big impact. So this is one of the things that is going to undermine your performance. And last I want to talk about is dirty protein. Look, keto is popular because people lose weight, but then you have dirty keto. That's really popular too. And that's when you eat, this junk protein, chicken, poultry, factory farm fish, meat. It's very high omega-6s, which I already shared. Bad news. It's got antibiotic, it's got plastic, it's got mold toxins in the feed. They give it on the feedlot. So look, take it out. These are not high performance food. Remember, I asked you to think about why you want to have high performance, right? Why is it important for you to change your diet to achieve this? If your goal is important enough, isn't it worth having a try, taking this out? You've got nothing to lose. You can bring it back if you felt nothing, but this is something that I encourage you to think about. Metabolic poison, right? High GI food, ultra processed food, high fructose food. Now, I think this is a common enough knowledge that most people understand. We're not, we eat too much sugar. But what a lot of people do not know, that there's a lot of healthy food, so-called healthy food, that's actually also full of sugar. They're just hidden, right? That protein ball you ate during your workout, the one that's supposedly naturally sweetened with dates. If you look at the ingredient, how many grams of sugar? 10 grams, which is effectively 2 teaspoons of sugar in a tiny little protein ball. And that, when you take that amount of sugar with your protein ball, it significantly reduces the human growth hormone from your workout. That's generated. You're supposed to get a spike of human growth hormone after you work out. You dramatically reduce that if you take that much sugar afterwards. The healthy yogurt you ate yesterday as a snack, well, if you look at the container, it's likely to get 15 grams of sugar. That's 4 teaspoons. So 3 teaspoons of sugar. Apple juice has the same amount of sugar as Coke. It's not a health drink, okay? Juice is sugar water. Also beware of keto-friendly labels. A lot of the keto-friendly labels are lies. Read the ingredient and look at how much sugar is in there. The average American consumes 80 grams of added sugar in all forms per day. That's 21 teaspoons. And the way they get away with it is these big food lying to you, hiding sugar in plain sight and sell it off as being healthy, naturally sweetened, no added sugar. Well, they added juice, so they technically not sugar. They use juice, which is essentially the same thing. And they do that because they know sugar is so addictive. It makes you crave for more, right? It's the manufacturer's dream. Illegalized cocaine, right? That's what it is. So neurologist Dr. Dave Perlmutter, he's the author of Grain Brain, one of the bestseller book on the diet and nutrition. He says that consumption of sugar it stimulates a specific area of brain that's linked to addiction. These areas are the same ones that light up in brain imaging studies when subjects are given cocaine. Think about that, right? Don't let them control your performance, right? Give yourself the control. So take back the control and know that you don't need this sugar. It's not good for you. It kind of gives you weight issues, makes you fat, it makes you stupid. It literally makes you stupid. It reduces your cognition, your ability to think or focus, and you will not perform at your best having all this sugar. Okay, sugar is all form. This is a gotcha, right? There's a lot of forms of sugar. There's a naturally occurring sugar, which is when they say no added sugar. They still look at the actual absolute quantity, not what they've added. Not just look at the label, right? Not just on the back on the ingredient list, you see the actual content. Other form of sugar, refined flour, right? These things are all gonna break down into sugar. It will spike your insulin. So those things are also, as far as I'm concerned, are sugar. Same thing. Either refined sugar, high fructose corn syrup. Agave is not a healthy sugar. It's mainly fructose. So you might as well just take high fructose corn syrup. It's not better. You see agave used a lot of so-called health foods. That's a lie. Don't get tricked. Dates, sweetened, yes, okay, I've shared with you what happened to me. Be careful. Fruit juice concentrate, bad news, just as well as sugar. So sugar creates all kinds of performance issues, depression, anxiety, makes you stupid. So I think you get the point, right? Human growth hormone reduction, don't want that. Right? How do we actually eliminate this? Because it's challenging, right? How do you know this is going to work? Is it actually worth it, right? It's I'm making all these information available to you because I know you want to be extraordinary. You deserve to be. So simply being alive is not functional. It's not enough, right? You want to have the energy when all your competitors are down and out. You want to have the energy to outlast your competitors. You want to be productive. You don't want to just merely survive your working day in the office. You want to have energy left over for your family. When you come home, you have energy to listen. You have the energy to be present. You have energy left over to continue to make a positive impact to the society and the world. And the reality is the majority of people who eat those foods that I just shared with you, they live a mediocre life that only require mediocre performance. So for them, that diet might be fine. The diet performance parasite might be acceptable. But you, the executive warrior, you want to go beyond the average. So you can't eat an average diet. You need to do more than just that, right? These are things that act as anchors, slowing you down, preventing your success. And I want to just leave you with a few more concepts is where you are and how you have lived is what you think is normal, right? But you don't know if, let me give you an analogy. Does a fish know it's wet, what wet feels like? Right? That's all we know. How can it tell? It doesn't know what dry feels like if it never felt it. And this is the thing. You live your entire life feeling the way you feel. And the thing is, if you look at this, that might be below average, but you think that's normal because you never felt what it feels like to be better. You never felt what it feels like to be above normal, and you suddenly haven't felt what it feels like to be superhuman. At the end of the day, I can only give you the information. I can't make you do it. But these are things that you need to consider. What do you want to be? And you got to do what's necessary to get there. So at least you can experience a new sense of normal. Okay. This is how you do it. 21-day challenge. Clear your pantry, fridge, eliminate everything I just said for 21 days, right? Keeping your peak performance journal. For the tribe members, you have that in your journal. Keep on logging how you feel every day, your subjective vitality score. And believe me, this 21 days, you feel a transformation in how you perform. When you take those food out, you will feel the difference. And if you don't, what have you got to lose? Right? You've got everything to gain. So that's my challenge. So that is the take-home action today. I've shared with you all the information about the food that's going to dramatically impact your ability to achieve. And I suggest you experiment for 21 days to take it out. Share in the community your executive performance parasite elimination experience. Share your success. Share how you feel. And of course, ask any question in the community. I hope you enjoyed today's module about eliminating your performance parasite, your productivity parasite that's undermining your performance. And we have much more to come in the place. Go through them. If you haven't watched the first one about cyclical fasting, watch that, right? Each play, layer upon layer, build it up, right? We're building the system. We're building your performance through transformation of your diet, play by play. The next play, we're going to talk about what you can eat. Remember the Siddle principle? Indulgence. That's what it's all about. In the next one, we're going to talk about not just food we take out. I think it's important to plug the holes, but then we're going to start filling in the good stuff, the premium stuff, the high octane fuel that's going to take you to that next level. I'll see you next time. Take care. God bless.